I think the Giants putting up big numbers against what might be the worst defense I've ever seen in the 2025 Dallas Cowboys, it doesn't really move me that much, and they just will probably find a way to embarrass themselves on national television. It's a badly coached team. I mean, this is what poorly coached teams do. The Giants pass rush is absolutely the strength of this team. However, the Giants secondary is not good. Deonte Banks is horrible.
Something I hope is that the Chiefs D-line can just bring some pressure.
They'll have no problem. I hate to be so pessimistic about my favorite team, but if the Chiefs need a get-right game, this is going to be a pretty good opportunity to get right.
All right, so Bengal is a Madden and NFL content creator whose favorite team happens to be the Giants, and he gets brutally honest in this quick-hitter interview as we preview the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to take on the Giants on Sunday Night Football. It's safe to say you're going to leave this conversation pretty encouraged as a Chiefs fan and maybe sad as a Giants fan, so let's get into it. But first, how about those?
Lately, it's been really bad being a Giants fan. They have the worst record in the NFL since 2017. It seems crazy because the Giants have been bad. I think everyone realizes that. But you think the worst teams in the NFL, it's easy to think, oh, well, the Browns, the Jaguars, even the Jets across the locker room. But no, the Giants since 2017, which is nearly a decade ago now, have the fewest wins in the NFL. I have seen 40 wins since 2017. 40. You've seen that in a playoff run plus 4 games of the regular season in 2 seasons. It's ridiculous.
It's insane to think that it's actually the inverse for the Chiefs, essentially. I mean, Mahomes became the starter in 2018, but nobody's won more. But I was born and raised in KC, still live here, so I watched a lot of L's growing up and a lot of frustrating losses and just playoff curse stuff. I still think the Colts are the Chiefs' kryptonite, but yeah, where we are now, it's insane. Obviously, the Chiefs are 0-2, and there's some question marks on the roster and where things are headed, but it's still been an absolutely incredible time to be a Chiefs fan. So with that said, you kind of have the inverse teams going on. How are you feeling about just the offense with Russell Wilson, Dayball? I know he's kind of on the hot seat. I actually thought he might get axed last year, but they gave him another year, and I don't dislike Dayball, but how are you feeling about the Giants, their offense coming off of that kind of crazy vintage-looking Russell Wilson game last week against the Cowboys?
It's been probably the best offensive game I've ever seen during the Brian Daboll era for the Giants. They've been really, really awful. And to some level, I say, okay, well, you know what? It's really hard to win in the NFL. Shouldn't be this hard, but it is really hard. But they've had a really bad offensive line the entirety of even before Brian Daboll arrived in New York, and they've had really bad quarterback play. It's tough to have a successful offense in that environment, and they really haven't had great receiving threats either prior to, of course, superstar second-year player Malik Neighbors now. But at some point, I do need to see some type of results on the field, and I think the Giants putting up big numbers against what might be the worst defense I've ever seen in the 2025 Dallas Cowboys, it doesn't really move me that much when I know the Giants are to come back to earth and score 9 points against KC. If the Giants are lucky. I mean, week 1, they scored 6 points. Their first touchdown didn't come until week 2. It's been tough, and I don't really think a whole lot is going to change. I'd be shocked if the Giants were to pull off the upset. Their record in primetime can't be good because their record in totality isn't good, but they got all these primetime games every year because it's a gigantic market, or a giant market. And they just will probably find a way to embarrass themselves on national television.
It's so interesting. You look at some of these stats. It's 0-2 Chiefs, 0-2 Giants. Both of the quarterbacks are the team's leading rushers. How are you feeling about the run game for your team? Maybe it didn't matter so much last week because Russell Wilson was doing whatever he wanted through the air. But Scatterboo, how are you feeling about the run game right now? And if you think they could find any success against the Chiefs defense? Or where are you at with that?
I like the backs. Truly, I do. And you expect growing pains because they are very young. Tyrone Tracy is a converted wide receiver, played 1 year of running back at Purdue after transferring from Iowa. And Cam Scatterboo is a fun player, but I don't really ever expect him to be one of the top guys in the league. I think he can be a nice change of pace type of power back, short yardage type of guy. But at the end of the day, how do you get a good run game? It's not only the scheme, obviously, but it's the push up front from the offensive line. And I'm going to tell you one thing for the Giants, Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith are not walking through that door for the Giants. You have John Michael Schmitz, who is genuinely awful. He was a second-round pick a couple of years ago by the Giants, and he is a truly non-factor. You might as well not even have him on the field, and you get the same type of push in the run game. They bring in John Runyon in free agency. He's totally fine. He's about a fringe average starter in the league probably. And then right guard is a bit of a mess. When healthy, they want it to be Evan Neal, who definitely did not work out as a tackle. He's a better run blocker than anybody else on the team probably on the interior. But when you don't have Andrew Thomas as well, who's hurt all the time, the offensive line's terrible. You can't run the ball. You can't throw the ball. I don't think it's going to look very good against the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs, despite losing some guys in the offseason on the interior, still pretty good there. No, Chris Jones is one of the best overall interior defensive linemen in the league. I just think it's a bad matchup for the Giants, as almost every team is.
I wonder if your left tackle, Andrew Thomas, will end up playing. I don't know. I think he's trending upwards, but man, that first series from James Hudson, the backup left tackle was your starter, I think he had 4 or 5 flags in the opening drive. I was so baffled. That was just a very insane opening sequence there for the Giants. And I don't know if you guys typically are that undisciplined, but I could not believe it.
It's a badly coached team. I mean, this is what poorly coached teams do. But it was kind of a silver lining because they got Marcus Bowe into the game, the rookie offensive lineman out of Purdue, who looked very, very good. And he was a player I liked quite a bit in the draft. I was really excited for the Giants to draft him. And he looked fantastic, which is basically, I didn't notice him very much during the game in pass protection because he wasn't letting up sacks the way James Hudson would or Evan Neal would on the other side when he was playing right tackle. So he was a really pleasant surprise because even if you like a draft prospect, you don't expect them to come in week 2 after not playing in week 1 and just be good instantly. It's tough enough for a top 5 or top 10 pick to come in and be an impactful player, a plus on an offense or defense immediately, let alone a 5th round pick.
And before I get to the rest of this preview, I wanted to share with you 3 of my favorite picks for this game, thanks to the season-long sponsor of the channel, Underdog, the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Here's my first pick. Through 2 weeks, the Giants have allowed 53.5 yards to tight ends, which is 25th in the NFL. Travis Kelce, on the other hand, has over 47 yards in back-to-back weeks, so hit the higher for me. Then Malik Neighbors has had more than 4.5 catches in the last 10-plus games going back to last year, including the last 2 weeks of this season, so hit the higher. Next up, it's a bit risky, but I'm going with Mahomes completing a pass for over 35.5 yards. He's done this in back-to-back games, but also in 2 of the 3 Chiefs playoff games last year. And with the Giants' passing defense a bit suspect, I think Mahomes airs one out to either Xavier Worthy or Tyquan Thornton for a good gain. And if these 3 picks hit, you can win up to 3.7x on your money, but you can also do any picks you want on Underdog, choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats to win up to 1,000x. So make sure to tail these if you like, and then any new signups who uses my code HBTC can play just $5 and get $50 in bonus funds plus a gimme pick in the lobby. Let's talk about the deep ball for a second. Do you anticipate any kind of success downfield, deep downfield, knowing that Justin Herbert, okay, Russell Wilson's not Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert kind of did whatever he wanted week 1, whereas Hurts kind of floundering offense right now as they look for their identity a little bit early on. He didn't have as much success. The Chiefs blitzed him on like 64% of dropbacks. Do you think Russell Wilson could find a little bit of success deeper down the field like he did last week? I know you said the Cowboys' secondary defense is not great, but are you anticipating or hoping to find some of that continued success on Sunday Night Football?
I think the opportunity may present itself. The Chiefs, as you'll know, run more cover 0 than anybody, and that does present one-on-ones and opportunities downfield. If you can get the time, if you can pick up the blitz, you're going to find one-on-ones. If a team's running cover 0, that's just what is going to happen. Now, is Malik Neighbors going to get bracketed? I would imagine on some plays at least, but Darius Slayton also has some ability to get down the field as well. So if Russell Wilson's throwing these patented moon balls, there will be opportunities for players to make plays. And I think with the aggressiveness of Steve Spagnuolo, you will see a couple of opportunities for the Giants present themselves. But I don't know how you feel about it, but I like this Chiefs secondary. I know they're not at 100%, but there's absolutely talent there. And is it Jalen Watson who's starting to play a little bit better again after looking a little bit shaky last year? Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, he broke his ankle, came back, didn't look quite right in the playoffs, but he's playing better already through 2 weeks for sure.
Yeah, and then, I mean, Trent McDuffie is one of the premier defensive backs in the league. If he's on Neighbors, it's going to be tough in the intermediate area, but he's got a little bit of a size advantage down the field. Neighbors does.
Yes.
I think if you can get a one-on-one, even with a corner as skilled as Trent McDuffie, you might be able to make something happen. So, I mean, fingers crossed for the Giants, but I think there's not going to be enough time for a lot of these things to develop.
Something I hope personally is that the Chiefs D-line can just bring some pressure. They have really struggled through 2 weeks of football.
They'll have no problem.
Okay. Well, then I feel better. But, I mean, last week, we try not to overreact, but last week it was the Eagles' O-line. They couldn't really get home rushing for. A lot of the advanced metrics has most of the Chiefs' pass rushers in the bottom left quadrant of all these graphs where you want them in the top right. They're in the bottom left. But then they played the Chargers, who they have a pretty good O-line, even though Rashawn Slater is out for the season, unfortunately. Josh Simmons, same injury that he had in college. But I do hope to see a little bit more. And even if they have that success, I don't know how optimistic I will be about them moving forward, but it'll be a step in the right direction. Hey, if you're enjoying the conversation with Bengals so far, make sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel. He has almost 600,000 subs. He does a lot of Madden and like college football video game content, but my favorite stuff that he does is every year during the draft. This dude does 3 hours of film study every day and has some of the best draft content on YouTube. So make sure to give him a sub. Link is in the description down below. How are you feeling about the D-line for your team? I feel like that's got to be a strength and something you could exploit. Matchup-wise would obviously be Dexter Lawrence against Kingsley Suamataia, who is probably the weak link beside Jawan Taylor if he's drawing flags. I feel like Jawan Taylor's fine on the right side for the most part if he's not getting flagged, but most flag tackled through 3 years. You feeling a little bit better, at least on that side of the ball, when you're looking at kind of the Chiefs offense, a little bit anemic with down a couple receivers and really no run game at all?
The Giants pass rush is absolutely the strength of this team. There's no question. Now, you're unlikely to see Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, and Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns all on the field together at the same time. I think that only happened on a few snaps last week because it's just tough to get 3 edge rushers on the field simultaneously. Now, what I think the Giants could do is play Thibodeau off the edge. He's looked a little bit better so far because he's been a little bit disappointing. I know the numbers, like total sack numbers, don't look too terrible. He had double digits a couple of years ago, but he really hasn't been that level of player. We know sacks can be a little bit fugazi, a little bit misleading at times, but it's absolutely an overall strength. If he can get up to playing, near his draft projection, Brian Burns is an elite player. Dexter Lawrence is in that Chris Jones tier of interior defensive linemen. And then Carter has the potential to grow into an absolute game wrecker, and he's looked pretty good through a couple of weeks. However, the Giants secondary is not good. Deonte Banks is horrible. He's absolutely terrible. So if you're a Chiefs fan, find number 2 on the field for the Giants. That's who you're going to exploit. It's going to happen probably a lot. The guy's got no ball skills whatsoever. Just throw in his direction. He won't find it.
It is crazy. It's only 2 weeks of football, but I did go and look at some of the Giants stats on like team rankings and stuff, just kind of seeing where they are on defense. And it's like 31st, 29th, 27th, 32nd, and yards allowed, passing yards allowed, rushing yards allowed. So I was actually even surprised a little bit to see the rushing yards given the D-line, even though I'm sure their strength is really getting after the passer or the quarterback rather. So I was thinking if the Chiefs offense wants a get back right game after 2 weeks of struggling, Worthy should be returning. I don't know if he'll be 100%. Maybe Tyquan Thornton can do a little bit of something, but you need more than just that. I feel like Travis Kelce has actually been fine, minus some errors, which don't love to see that. And last week's error arguably cost him the game. It wasn't the only thing that was wrong in that one, but you had a chance to beat the Eagles there. So I am hoping that the Chiefs offense can kind of get some sparks going and give some Chiefs fans a little bit of fireworks. I mean, we want the win, but they would love to see some sort of a semblance of Chiefs offense of old, not because that's what it needs to be all the time, but just to show the league, show the fans that they could still move the ball down the field a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah, I think this is the team to do it against. I hate to be so pessimistic about my favorite team, but it's my favorite and least favorite team. It's a team that has let me down a lot over the past decade, and I think if the Chiefs need a get-right game, this is going to be a pretty good opportunity to get right.
Most people are picking the Chiefs to win, but it's still a lot of them one score. Is that kind of where you're at as well? Just kind of looking at the Chiefs offense, being like, yeah, they're going to find a way to win, but it's probably not going to be a bloodbath. Is that where you're kind of at mindset wise?
You know, it's tough to say. I saw the spread was like plus 6.5 or something like that for the Giants. And it's tough to say because I watched the Chiefs, and the perception, I would think, around the league in terms of a fan base is, oh, the Chiefs are still so good. But if you look last year, as you know, they just found a way to win. It didn't matter if they were playing, you know, the best team in the league or the worst team in the league. It was a last second field goal or a defensive stop, whatever way they found a way to do it. It were tight games against whoever. But on the other hand, as a Giants fan, I watched this team get blown out routinely. It's like a movable force meeting a movable object. I don't know. It's a tough spot. I think if Mahomes can hit on some of these deep balls the way he's been unable to recently, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Chiefs win by double digits. I really wouldn't.
How about those Chiefs?